Have you ever passed for something in your life that could be considered traumatic? The loss of a loved one, being broken and having no one to count on, or seeing your favorite show getting suddenly canceled? What? This can't be considered a traumatizing experience? No, of course not! Oh, my bad. Deadlight is a game about a traumatized guy, Randall Wayne, our hero, who is freaking out. The game is set in an apocalyptic 1986, where the survivors of a zombie outbreak are trying to exist alongside all the terror that remains. In the midst of all this, Randy is trying to find his family after hearing a transmission about a safe spot. But this isn't a common zombie story, since here the protagonist starts as a traumatized character. But what does this have to do with you? According to the World Health Organization, at least 70% of people around the world will experience one traumatic event in their lifespan. Some will have more than one disturbing experience. Things like this can really knock you down. In times like this, we turn to the media. We watch our favorite flick and we play some games to feel a little better. But what you shouldn't be doing is doom scrolling on your phone endlessly. But in doing this, you found my video. A game review video about a game that accomplished one thing that a lot of AAA games in the past few years couldn't. A simple story made with heart and a message to pass to the audience. A good message. Overcoming your traumas. And how you should overcome yours. Don't get me wrong, I'm not glorifying smaller games over high budget games. I don't follow this line of thought. This game isn't perfect, bro. The gameplay has a similar problem as with the Assassin's Creed games. In Deadlight, you can do a lot of cool stuff with your character, but the controls turn wacky when you want to turn your character from one ledge to another. About the brightness, the game is so dark that depending on the display you're playing on, you have to put the brightness at the max. And the OST, well, there's nothing remarkable or unforgettable about the OST. It's basic. The bass track is definitely the main thing, and even this isn't really something that will stay with you for a long time. But the gameplay does have a few problems, but it's dense enough to give you a sense of urgency in action moments and contemplativeness in slow-paced moments. Having a stealth approach or a combative one is up to the player. You can try your luck killing enemies or taunting them to pass through to avoid making a mess. The sensation of survival horror games is preserved in good enough playability. Sure, the game is pretty dark, but that's the point. The game is immersive. The art direction makes the graphics of this game unatemporal, and the reason behind the game calling the enemies shadows and not zombies or walkers is because of the atmosphere the game wants to pass to you. The shadows of Randy's past are pursuing him, like a trauma pursues its host. And the OST? Yeah, even though it's not that great, does the basic as it should. The focus of this game is definitely on the immersiveness, the visuals, the sound effects that are amazing, and on top of that, the atmosphere. The art style reminds me about a mobile game that I played during my childhood, Vector. I love shadow art in comic books, in anime sequences, and in video game sections. This game is a whole shadow art based game. Why shouldn't I love it? The artistic direction doesn't stop at the game but overflows during the cutscenes. The game starts with a scene explaining to you a chaotic situation inside a warehouse. Randy just killed a member of the group because she was turning into a monster. Nobody likes this even though it's necessary. The sister of the victim gets angry, as she should, and everything turns bad since the shadows are coming inside the building because gunshots attract them. This first scene presents you with what the game is. I came home after a 1-month trip. I only played Switch games for a whole month, and once my wife and I came back to our home, I turned on our PS5 to play something to make up for lost time. I started the first scene, liked it, and then closed it again because I got a bit overwhelmed since I'm playing a few games at the same time. My wife said to me, "This game looks pretty cool. It seems interesting." I changed plans, and she watched me playing the game, and we enjoyed it all the way until the end, because of this one first scene that caught her and my attention. I thought of different examples about how I would tell you how good the game is in terms of narrative. I think these examples summarize it in a much better way than I would. Everything made perfect sense to me. An engaging intro, a fantastic art style, and a short side-scroller, and I had a banger with all my playtime. And the cherry on the top, the message about trauma. Psychological trauma isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, invincible, lingering. It's an emotional response to deeply distressing events, like facing a threat to your life or watching someone you love in danger. And even when it doesn't happen to you directly, just witnessing it through a screen, through the news, or on social media can still impact you. It might not always cause a trauma in the clinical sense, but it can trigger something powerful inside, an involuntary, overwhelming stress response, the kind you don't even notice at first, but your body feels it, and remember it. Now imagine going through that, not just once, but repeatedly. Constant exposure to distressing situations, even indirectly, can leave lasting scars. Over time, that emotional weight builds and starts to show up in unexpected ways. Flashbacks, panic attacks, nightmares, struggle with relationships, post-traumatic stress disorder, even brief psychotic episodes. And then there's something even harder, the re-experiencing, when your body responds as if it is back there, in that moment. Sometimes it takes just a sound, like a motorcycle engine passing by. Seems harmless, right? But for someone who's lived through trauma, that sound might resemble gunfire. And suddenly, without warning, they are overwhelmed. Not by the sound itself, but by what it represents deep inside. And the scariest part, they might not even know why they are reacting that way. These hidden triggers can push people into survival mode, and not the healthy kind. Without realizing it, they might fall into self-destructive habits, hatred, emotional numbness, heavy drinking, risky sexual behavior, or hours lost in things like pornography, as a way to cope, to escape. Because when your mind feels unsafe, you do anything to find relief, even if that relief is temporary, even if it hurts in the long run. Everyone passes through hard stuff. We shouldn't judge the weight of a bad experience based on our views about who suffers more, a single mother of 3, or a guy who needs a job to pay the rent, or he's going to the street. Even though we can understand that some crosses are heavier than others, we shouldn't judge. Major facts contribute to an individual's response to a trauma, such as cultural values, faith, beliefs, and social support system. Even the age can result in different reactions. Losing a loved one as a kid, a teenager, or an adult are different ways to experience the same event. If the person in question is invalidated, the symptoms can be much worse and even discourage the living soul from seeking help. Jump to this part of the video if you don't want any major spoilers about the end of the game. Throughout the game, we can read messages from the ones that already passed. Sometimes the messages appear too quickly on the screen, so I can't read them on time. But fundamentally, the messages in Randall's diary are what leads the player to understand Randy's mind. He's a paranoid folk with problems since his infancy, but found peace in a life with his wife Shannon and his daughter Lydia. After the outbreak, they got separated, and his main point to keep going is live to see their family again. For someone who had nothing, he changes a bit through the campaign. He actually cares about the people surrounding him. He helps a crazy old man in the sewers who asks him to find his son. He helps his friend that got kidnapped by the New Law, an organization of survivors who are worse than the dead, and he helps the sister of the woman he killed in the first cutscene, who was also kidnapped by the New Law. Throughout the game, he has a few episodes of flashbacks and hallucinations, and even though we already knew that he was crazy, in the end is where things make sense. Randall killed his wife and daughter because they couldn't suffer the burden of living in this post-apocalyptic world. And in a traumatic experience, his mind denied what happened, and he continued to carry this burden upon his shoulder. But when the truth is revealed, he understands that what he did was wrong, and he shall do things differently, even with a few minutes to make a decision, since in this scene, he's cornered by shadows and has a responsibility to save the woman. He chooses to save her. He chooses to say to her that she should live, even after all the disaster about her sister's death, being kidnapped, and almost... You understand what I mean? And when he does it, he sacrifices himself in a heroic ending, opening for interpretations if he survived or not. If he survived or not, doesn't matter. The lesson that I took with me is, even after realizing he was the one who caused his suffering, he chose to do the right thing at the end. He chose to overcome his trauma. He chose to show to her by his actions that even though he didn't have the time he wanted, she had breath to live in this world after everything terrible that she's been through. The post-apocalyptic theme is sometimes used as an analogy to our mundane problems. When we struggle with a difficult situation, a trauma, we may want to unlive, to give up after not dealing well with a traumatic experience. And by consuming post-apocalyptic media, we may think, how would I survive in this situation? Or worse, why would I want to live in this type of world? But when we watch a human being just like us, passing through things we could consider worse than our situation, and this person is still willing to survive, willing to live, this can change us in a powerful way. Like I said, we do know that some crosses are heavier than others, but your cross, your burden, only you know how it feels. And when something relatable happens with these characters, like a loved one passing away, we can connect with this more than with the monsters around them. Deadlight is, for me, a powerful analogy about the shadows of the traumas that pursue us. We may dodge them, avoid them all we can, but one day we have to face them to live past them. This game exposes to us what trauma can do to someone else's mind, but I do think that the way to surpass this is to be resilient and learn from everything bad that happened. Learn from past experiences, not because they can always teach you a lesson, but because they are part of your story. A story that isn't finished yet and won't be until you actually unlive. We shouldn't be the ones who put an end to our lives. That's not our responsibility. We're the ones who should heal ourselves to make life easier for others by teaching them the truth about human experience. I know you can be in so much pain. Believe me, I understand how you feel, but you can actually make a difference with your life while you are still here. If you've lost your happiness, your way, rebuild it just the way it was.
What will you do?
Rebuild it just the way it was, brick for brick.
If you think you missed all the opportunities in your life because of the bad things that happened to you, because of your traumas or your mental disorder, relax. You can always start over. It's never too late. God's in control of everything that happens. Life isn't just about trauma and overcoming our issues. Life is more than this. It is about the people you eat with, the people you share a meal with, and your life. It's about family. I have a special video about this made specially for you. Click on the screen and turn on the subtitles to enjoy what life can mean. My Paintman review serves as a good complement to what you just watched. Don't wait. I know you're going to love it too. And for all this, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks, and I will see you next time.